Good afternoon. On behalf of the Nebraska State College System Board of Trustees, I welcome you to this lovely ceremony. It's a pleasure to have Randy Rhine and his family here today, and we will soon inaugurate him as the 11th president of Chadron State College. I'm Stan Carpenter, and I'm the chancellor of the Nebraska State College System, and I'll be kind of the police director up here today. Would you please remain standing for the posting of the colors by the Chadron ROTC and Army First Lieutenant Rachel Rhine, daughter of Randy and Ann Rhine. Thank you, and please be seated. At this time, I'd like to ask Morgan Nelson to come to the podium to offer a moment of reflection. Morgan is a senior here at Chadron, will be graduating next week. She is a student representative to the Board of Trustees from Chadron. She's been a terrific trustee. We're going to miss her as she moves on to Texas A&M next year to begin her graduate work. Morgan?
Thank you, Chancellor. Fellow Eagles, faculty, staff, and guests, thank you for being here today at the inauguration of our 11th president. Not only is this a remarkable moment in the life of a great leader, but it is a historic moment for Chadron State College. It is widely known that the success of a leader can be traced back to their ability to listen. During a 7-hour trip to the board meeting in January, my questions, talk of current events, and constant jabber nearly took off Dr. Rhine's ears. I'm pleased to say that you've passed the ultimate test. Congratulations, sir. There's not enough that I can say to express the profound respect for this leader, role model, and mentor before us today. The leadership he provides is truly one of a kind, always inspiring those around him to do the best work possible, and insightful advice only when needed. Dr. Rhine's leadership style is one I hope to someday imitate. As a representative of students, no matter what office in which he resides, I found his door to always be open. Through student concerns, seeking advice, or simple chat about politics, he hasn't locked me out yet. Dr. Rhine's student focus and visibility will serve this office well. He even shared his special time with us and helped us kick off our clothing drive last night. For that, the students would like to thank you. The future of Chadron State College is bright. More than 100 years strong, we continue to thrive in an economy that's been tough on higher education and students. Not only have we maintained our military-friendly campus, but our out-of-state students will now have a lesser debt burden due to our Eagle rate. Our campus is growing in number and resources to offer students. It truly is a great day to be an Eagle. As I graduate, I leave Chadron State knowing that the student body will always be taken care of and represented. And I know our school is in great hands. Thank you, and God bless.
Thank you, Morgan. And of course, that run last night was the nearly naked mile. And I don't know if I have to go any further about that, but I did hear President Rhine in a conversation with one of the trustees, and he said it's probably just as well the trustees weren't there. So I don't know what that meant, and I don't think I'll ask any further questions. Today we bear witness to one of the most important events in the Nebraska State College system and at Chadron State College, and all the people and all the lives who are associated with our system and this terrific institutions. As you know, higher education today faces many challenges, some fiscal, some other challenges, some internal, some external. But the Board of Trustees of the Nebraska State College system has a responsibility that it carries out every day, and that is that it is responsible for the governance of the Nebraska State College system and the 3 colleges that make up that system: Chadron State College, Peru State College, and Wayne State College. And I have members of the Board of Trustees up here on the stage that I will be introducing shortly, and they serve to guide and direct the hired hands, folks like me and Randy and others, to ensure that our colleges actually provide the very best educational quality to all those who want to better their lives and the lives of their families. And we also are here, obviously, to make sure that those who have a dream of earning a degree have that opportunity. Under the direction of the board, the Nebraska State College system, Chadron, Peru, and Wayne, have been expanding in many ways, from the traditional face-to-face course offerings to online offerings to a mixture of those offerings as well. We are reaching out beyond just Chadron and the region here and the state of Nebraska to folks around the world. We know that higher education makes people's lives better. We know that they earn more money. And we know, quite frankly, that they are less likely to be laid off than a person with a high school diploma or less. It is our core belief in the Nebraska State College system that every person, regardless of circumstance, has potential for growth and success. We are, as I like to say, colleges of opportunity. We are colleges of the people, providing education and serving our communities and regions in which our institutions reside, and Chadron has long been serving this region for at least the last 102 years. Been graduating students, having students succeed, having students who are fully prepared to enter the world of work or go to graduate school and become engaged civically. I have to say that the board and I and the search committee were extremely pleased when I called Randy and asked him to be the president. It was something that was terrific for us. I don't think he really understands what he's getting into, even though he's been in the role for almost a year now. And he did so, he accepted, in spite of knowing who his boss would be. But you know, today is really more than about one person. It's a celebration of our students and our faculty and our staff, the city of Chadron, the region, the state of Nebraska. It is a time for us to come together and celebrate this 102-year-old institution. It's a time for us to come together and remember its history and look forward to the challenging but very bright future that Chadron has. So we're all here today, excited to participate in the inauguration of Randy Rhine as the 11th president of Chadron State College. We know that Randy has a very extensive background in higher education, from Arkansas, that's questionable, to Montana, and now to Nebraska. But more importantly, or as importantly, he possesses a knowledge and an intimate relationship with Chadron State College. He knows what it's going to take to enhance and improve this college's excellent reputation and excellent educational programs. Before we officially welcome Dr. Rhine as the 11th president, I would like to introduce several of the individuals who are joining me on stage this afternoon. And I will also introduce Randy's family shortly as well. First on the stage, to my right, to your left, is Senator Al Davis from District 43. Over here we have Kat Peterson, Chair of the Board of the Nebraska State College System, Vice Chair Michelle Suarez, and Gary Bagansky from Chadron, who is the Chair of the Academic and Personnel Committee of the Board of Trustees. To my far left, we have Dr. Roger Breed, who serves on Gary's committee and who, by the way, is the Commissioner of Education in the state of Nebraska. Then we have Bob Engels, a board member from Auburn, and John Cheney, our newest board member as well. Bill Roskins, our 7th board member, is in Omaha. He would be here other than the fact that he's recovering from knee surgery today. And then, of course, there's another face on the stage that you were all very familiar with, the 10th president of Chadron State College, Dr. Janie Park, and then the sacrificial lamb, Randy Rhine. I do want to recognize some of Randy's family who's in the audience today. I want to ask if you would to stand, and we will acknowledge them at the end if you don't mind. Randy's very, very much better half, his wife Ann. Where are you, Ann? There you are. And their daughter Rachel, who you met earlier. As she was posting the colors, she is a first lieutenant in the Army, and she is joined today by her husband, First Lieutenant Brandon Millard. Also here with us today is Ann's mother, Wanda Eggle. And also joining us is Randy's sister, Sandy K. Williams, and her husband, Johnny. Thank you for coming. We had hoped that Ann and Randy's son, John, would be able to join us. But as many of you know, John is a sergeant in the Army, and he is out protecting this country. And he's at a very top secret location, unfortunately, and he is unable to join us today, but we will think of him as the ceremony continues. I also would like to recognize John Blake, who is here representing Congressman Adrian Smith. John, thank you. And Cassie Nichols, who is here representing Senator Mike Johans. Thank you for joining us today. So now we'll begin the show, and we'll start by asking Senator Al Davis to bring greetings from the legislature. As you know, Al represents the 43rd District out here. He was elected last November. He serves on several committees in the legislature, but the one that we're most interested in, of course, is the Education Committee, and I'm sure that we will get to know each other very well over the course of Senator Davis's term. So, Senator Davis.
Thank you, Chancellor. I'm going to take just an opportunity because I see two faces out there that are also in the legislature, and there may be more, and I'd just like to introduce them for a moment, if I could. Senator Dave Bloomfield from up in northeast Nebraska. And Senator Steve Lathrop from Omaha. Now, these lights are bright, so is there anyone else out there that I'm overlooking? Well, thank you for coming. There's just so many things you can say about Chadron State College and the community college system in general. First thing I will say is to give you a report from the legislature is that the Education Committee did reach a compromise on state aid to education, and we will live to fight another day, but I'm sure my colleagues out there kind of wondered if that was going to happen. So I'm very pleased about that. I've got a long relationship with Chadron as a high school student. I came here for band day and music day many times. We had our scholastic contests up at Chadron. It was always such a privilege and an honor to come to this beautiful campus. And it was very exciting for someone coming from a little town of Hyannis to get to what was looking like a huge campus to me at the time. So when I come today, I always go, gosh, it's just not as big as I remember it being. But when I look through the list of presidents here, I can go back in time to President Ed Nelson, who was such a dynamo in building the campus here and building the college system, and also was a huge contributor to a lot of the things that went on in rural Nebraska. And every one of the presidents that have served here, I think, have done an outstanding job representing the student body and developing an excellent education here at the college. It's very important that we have a strong and outstanding president here at Chadron because we are higher education in this part of the state. This is the only four-year college for several hundred miles east to here. And so we want a strong campus that's got a lot of vitality. I think we have that here. When I was campaigning last summer running for this office, I stopped in to meet the interim president, Randy Rhine, and we had a very nice visit. He told me a lot about the student body here and about the challenges that that a campus like Chadron, which is somewhat remote, meets in educating kids. And I'll never forget the one thing that he told me at that time, because one of my campaign platform pieces was that we needed to reverse population loss in rural Nebraska and why it was becoming so much more difficult to educate children in rural Nebraska. And Dr. Rhine told me, he said, well, we're dealing with the same issues here at Chadron State College because a lot of the kids that come here are coming from those same communities. So they've done a tremendous amount of things to broaden the curriculum and bring in other students. I think Dr. Rhine's been a big part of that. More than anything else, I've got to say about Dr. Rhine, he is such a personable and intelligent man, and he's going to be such a great contributor to your community and to rural Nebraska. Very happy to be here, very pleased and honored to be able to give this introduction, and thank you so much. Thank you.
Thanks, Senator Davis. I also want to recognize that Senator Bloomfield's wife, Dee, is here, I believe. Dee, thank you. And I did want to point out that Senator Lathrop is the chair of the Business and Labor Committee in the legislature, and I know over the last several years he's had some pretty tough rows to hoe, and he's done a terrific job with that. So, Senator, thank you for that, because that has had an effect on the Nebraska State College systems in a very, very positive way. It's also my pleasure then to welcome the next greeter from Chadron, the mayor, Karen Fisher. And it's important that we recognize that Chadron and Wayne and Peru anchor rural Nebraska. These towns that they're located in are critically important to us, and we are critically important to them. But the town and the surrounding region is very important to the success of this institution, and I know that Mayor Fisher has a very deep interest in Chadron State College. So, Mayor?
Thank you, Chancellor Carpenter and Dr. Rhine, for inviting the City of Chadron to participate in this inaugural event. Thank you, Dr. Janie Park, for bringing Dr. Rhine and Ann to Chadron State. Honored guests, what an exciting time to be a president of Chadron State College. An unprecedented capital improvement program is in progress. An MBA program that has quadrupled in size. Student-friendly tuition initiatives provide opportunities for further enrollment. Dr. Randy Rhine, because of the exceptional qualities that you bring, your focus on the students, and demonstrated commitment to the community. As mayor of the City of Chadron, I am very pleased to welcome you as the 11th president of Chadron State College. May the vibrance and vitality that I sense on this campus and in this town, because of that on the campus, be a hallmark of your presidency. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. She mentioned the capital construction going on here. It's pretty remarkable when you think about Armstrong Gymnasium and Rangeland Phase 1 and Eagle Ridge. And if we get a little help from the legislature this year, might as well plug while we can. Rangeland Phase 2 will begin next year as well, and hopefully the library at Wayne State College will be renovated also. There are two other folks that I'd like to introduce today. They are the presidents of the sister institutions of Chadron State College. Kurt Fry from Wayne State College. Where are you, Kurt? Thank you. And Dan Hansen, the president of Peru State College. And I'd also like to introduce my much better half, Noreen, standing right there. Now, another friend of the college who has served as a member of the Board of Trustees for the Nebraska State College system. And in fact, you can talk to her because she's one of the people responsible for hiring me. She came to Vermont, and in spite of what she saw there, she came back and said I could have this job, for which I'm eternally grateful. Fran Grimes, who is the president of the Chadron Foundation.
Thank you, Dr. Carpenter. Good afternoon. The Chadron State Foundation sends you greetings. On behalf of the foundation, I am proud and honored to congratulate Dr. Randy Rhine on his appointment as the 11th president of Chadron State College. Largely through his efforts, the enrollment at CSC has increased significantly over the past several years. Because of this, we are challenged to provide more funds for scholarships. This is a challenge we gladly accept. So Dr. Rhine, bring it on. Dr. Rhine, the foundation extends its wishes for you to have many years of success here at Chadron State College. Thank you.
Thank you, Fran. Now we are going to hear from the president of the Alumni Board, Janine Moore.
It is an honor to represent a century of Chadron State College graduates as we celebrate the inauguration of the 11th president of Chadron State College. Dr. Ryan, on behalf of the alumni present here today, as well as the over 17,000 CSC alumni who are here in spirit, congratulations. I feel blessed to have a connection with an institution that values its alumni and encourages us to become involved and stay engaged with the college's present and future goals. Celebrating this inauguration also provides a unique moment for each of us to reflect upon our experiences at CSC and the profound contribution that Chadron has made to our lives, to this community, and to the society at large. President Ryan, Chadron State alumni welcome your leadership, and we look forward to working with you in the future years ahead. We extend a special welcome to you, Ann, and to your family as you become part of our CSC family. The alumni enthusiastically joins with the entire campus community to express our pride in this college and the shared aspirations for this future. Dr. Rhine is with great expectation as we join with you today to begin this new chapter of the history of Chadron State College. Thank you.
Thank you, Janine. And now, the Faculty Senate President and member of the Presidential Search Committee, Dr. Joyce Hardy.
Thank you, Chancellor Carpenter, and thanks to all of you who are here to help us celebrate this day. Chadron State College champions the rights of individuals to pursue higher education in attaining both individual and societal goals. We facilitate student success, and we celebrate as our students achieve their aspirations. Dr. Randy Rhine, your commitment to our common purpose was evident when you first came to our campus. On behalf of the Chadron State College faculty and Faculty Senate, welcome to our team. We're glad to have you.
Thank you, Joyce, and also thank you for serving as co-chair of the inaugural committee along with Karen Pope. I know that the committee spent many, many hours getting ready for this event, and it was a labor of love, but it was nevertheless a labor. And it's a terrific job. So let's give Joyce and Karen a round of applause along with the full committee. And now from the Professional Staff Association, the President, Keith Crowfoot.
The professional staff represents a wide spectrum of departments and skills across campus. Whether it's financial aid, admissions, housing, or even information technology, we serve a variety of vital areas. Dr. Ryan has shown that he has the ability to work with all these different groups regardless of his role from when he was vice president or interim president, and will still show that he is personable and approachable in those roles. We look forward to the new era as Dr. Ryan takes the reins and leads Chadron State College to great new things. On behalf of the Professional Staff Association, congratulations.
Thank you, Keith. Now please welcome Support Staff Association President Crystal Cummings to the microphone.
Thank you, Chancellor Carpenter. I would like to welcome you all here today on behalf of the Chadron Support Staff Association. Thank you for joining us in this momentous occasion. As president of the CSSA, I had the privilege of being on the committee which met with Dr. Rhine during the selection process. At that time, he expressed the importance of teamwork here on campus at CSC and how each and every member, no matter what their role, plays a vital part of our CSC team. So I am honored to be here today as he is stepping into the leadership role with our CSC team. May our victories outnumber our defeats. Go Eagles.
Thank you, Crystal. And now I'd ask James Bahinsky to come to the microphone. James will speak from the student perspective, and after all, that's why we're all really here. So James, over here. I was told where people would sit, but clearly I've forgotten.
Welcome, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Carpenter. Several weeks ago, when I was asked to speak at this inaugural event, I didn't know what to say for Dr. Ryan on behalf of the students because he's impacted us in so many different ways. And I started writing things down, and some of the words were humble and intelligent and also patient. And I thought, you know, he's meant so much to us as students and his family. And then I thought how all of us together today have been touched by his leadership. And I thought about how we'd all be wearing black, and it just seemed really funeral-ish. So I decided to mix it up a little bit, and although as a college student I did not go to Google and I did not look up a bright term in Webster, I do have just a few things I'd like to say about him. I chopped it up because it's hard to, I don't know about everyone else, but it was really hard for me to say what I wanted to say in 5 minutes about Dr. Rhine. So I backed it up into 3 little things. The interview process that we all had to go through, the American dream that we all strive to make, and a little story I like to call the fortune cookie. It started all a couple of months ago when we had 2 candidates come to campus for the presidency. And both were very qualified gentlemen, and after we got done listening to them one day, we were asked to give an evaluation of them. And I only wrote 2 lines on mine. One was for the other candidate, Dr. Mills, and I wrote, he's a very qualified candidate, but he's not Dr. Rhine. And on Dr. Rhine's, I wrote, if you don't pick this candidate, you're in the wrong. He's the most exceptionally qualified individual to ever hold this office. No offense, Dr. Park. The only negative thing I had to write, I didn't get to know Dr. Park as well. So there you go. The only negative thing I had to write was that he shouldn't be president because we would be losing him from a student perspective. But then today, as we all come together to celebrate, I realized we weren't losing him, but he was joining the greater picture, and he's going to be an amazing leader for us all. So I was very happy to hear that. My next story, the American dream. In high school, I was told by my English professor, English teacher, that the American dream was a white two-story house with a picket fence, with a cat and a dog and 2.4 children. And while Dr. Rhine has well exceeded these expectations, I think we should look back on that. For example, he doesn't live in a white two-story house with a picket fence, but he does live in a brick house on the corner of Cedar and 10th, and he looks out on the most beautiful image anyone ever could every day of the week, Chadron State College. And while he does somewhat have 2.4 children, John and Rachel, I had to ask Ann about the animals because I was really confused. And he has had a multitude of Chesapeake Bay retrievers and a cat named Cooter. But on the terms of children, 2.4 wasn't enough for Randy. And Ann, I don't know what you're getting yourself into, but you just joined a family that's 3,000 plus. So good luck. Yep. Well, and while we may not be what you expected, we are what you got. The last thing I'd like to say is about a fortune cookie. About a week ago, I asked Dr. Rhine to go to lunch, and I think he expected me to talk to him about some things. We didn't talk about that. We totally talked about something that wasn't related to school at all. And I tried to get some intel on what I should write because this is a very difficult speech. And at the end of lunch, we got our fortune cookies because we went to China House. And he got the fortune, and I got an empty cookie.
True story.
Yeah, true story. I thought I was the most unlucky person in the world, and until 3 days ago, when I went back to China House, and I told Morgan this, it just clicked for me. Maybe that empty fortune cookie wasn't so bad after all, because I, like many of the people up here on stage, and all of my fellow students, we are probably some of the luckiest people in the world to have known and been. It's an honor and a privilege to have known Dr. Randy Rhine, 11th president of Chadron State College. Thank you.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why we do what we do. So we turned from James Bahinsky to the keynote address. Keynote address, hopefully we'll learn some secrets about Randy. that Dr. Park will share with us. She wanted to share some last night, but Randy was around too much. And then she tried again this afternoon at lunch, but he made her sit with him. So I'm taking this as the opportunity, Janie, for you to give us the real scoop and the real lowdown on Randy. So would you please welcome the 10th president of Chadron State College to the podium for the keynote address, Dr. Janie Park.
Well, I had first thought that I would do some sort of a roast for Randy, but then I remembered that what goes around comes around, and I decided that that would probably not be a good thing to do. So you're not going to get a lot of insight. I'll have to meet you in the bar, and we can do that.
As long as I've got something.
Yeah. It's truly an honor and a pleasure to be invited back to Chadron State to speak at the inauguration of the college's 11th president. This induction ceremony signifies the intersection of Chadron State's past and its future. And like a congregation at a wedding, we signify by our presence here today a pledge to support this new president. Dr. Randy Rhine has been a colleague and a friend for the past 17 years, and I couldn't be more proud of his accomplishments bringing him to this moment in time. Years ago, a mentor of mine told me that the most important thing I could do for my own career was to hire people who were more talented than I was and give them room to do their job, and in return, they would make me look good. And I can honestly say that Randy made me look better than I was every single day of the 17 years that I worked with him. I met Randy in the summer of 1996 when I interviewed him for an administrative position at Montana State University Billings. I knew, even as early as that first interview, that Randy would be an asset to any organization that hired him, and I considered myself very fortunate when he accepted the position. Then in 2005, on my first day on the job as Chadron State's 10th president, Chancellor Stan Carpenter wished me well, and then he said, "Oh, Janie, by the way, Chadron State's enrollment has been on a slide for the past several years, and this year the enrollment is especially troubling. You are down 6%, and reversing this trend will have to be your first priority. Good luck." Once again, I reached out to Dr. Rhine because I knew if anyone could improve the enrollment situation at Chadron State, it would be him. When Randy agreed to come to Chadron in December of 2005 to focus on enrollment, I considered myself twice blessed to hire him for a second time in my career. And Randy did not disappoint. Every year since 2005, the enrollment at Chadron State increased, and this past fall it crossed that magical 3,000 number, thanks to you, Randy. Through the years, many things about Randy's management style impressed me. For instance, he has an innate ability to lead, but he can also assume the role of a team member when that's what's needed. I've known very few people who can be comfortable and effective in both roles. He also has an uncanny ability to make really good decisions. And as you've seen, he works very well with everyone. Another of his skills that I've always admired was his ability to diffuse a tense situation better than anyone that I've ever worked with. But perhaps the one thing that I appreciated most about Randy was that he never, and I mean never, just handed me a problem and walked away. At the same time that he shared a problem with me, he always presented me with one or more well-thought-out strategies to solve that problem. And more importantly, he rolled up his sleeves and took the lead in fixing it. And Randy, for that I thank you.
So what will Chadron State's future be under its 11th president? Of course, there are going to be challenges, there always are, but I can assure you that Randy is up to the task. If Chadron State's past is any indication of the future, the triumphs will far exceed the challenges. I know with the certainty of having worked with Dr. Rhine for 17 years that he will always act in the best interest of Chadron State College, and he will be a leader who will shape a bright future. I also know from my own experience here that Randy is blessed at this college with extraordinarily talented staff and faculty and passionate alums and friends of the college, and he won't hesitate to draw on them for support and inspiration. Chadron State is fortunate to have Dr. Rhine as its 11th president to ensure an exciting and bright future for this venerable 102-year-old institution. In considering how I would close this short speech, I decided to end with an Irish blessing, but I couldn't decide between my two favorites. So Randy, to doubly ensure your success at Chadron State as its 11th president, I'll give you the benefit of both blessings. This first blessing is especially for Randy and Ann. May the frost never afflict your spuds. May the leaves of your cabbage always be free from worms. May the crows never pick at your haystack. And if you inherit a donkey, may she be in foal. I hope this helps, Randy and Ann. The second and more familiar Irish blessing is for both Chadron State and President Rhine. May the road rise up to meet you. May the wind always be at your back. May the sunshine warm upon your face and rains fall soft upon your fields. And until we meet again, may God hold you in the palm of his hand. I was privileged beyond measure to be Chadron State's 10th president, and privileged even more so to be a friend and colleague of Dr. Randy Rhine. I wish Dr. Rhine, Chadron State, and all those who are in attendance today the brightest of futures. Thank you, and congratulations, Randy.
Apparently, she still holds a grudge about that one thing I didn't tell her. And as Randy knows, if you don't ask the right questions when you're running through these interviews for the presidency, you don't always get all the right answers. And anyway, Janie, thank you for that. Thanks for coming back. Thanks for your service to Chadron State College. It was terrific. Now, let's take a little break from the rhetoric, and I'd invite you to sit back, relax, and enjoy a musical interlude with a selection by John Amner titled "Come, Let's Rejoice," under the direction of Joel Schrader.
Let us make joy to
Dr. Schrader, thank you for that wonderful performance. It was really lovely. Well, we are now at the moment that you've all been waiting for. The moment that we will actually put this albatross around his neck. Oh, no, I don't really mean that. So it's my pleasure today to ask Cap Peterson, the chair of the board of the Nebraska State College, chair of the Nebraska State College System Board of Trustees, to come forward and do the investiture for Randy Rhine as the 11th president of Chadron State College. During his tenure on the board, Cap has served as the chair of the Finance, Facilities, and Audit Committee. He has served as vice chair, and he has served as chair, and he has been on the board since 2005. He and his wife, Nana, own the Northwest Nebraska Insurance Agency, and they live in Wayne, and we thank him every day for his service to the Nebraska State College system. So, Cap, if you would come forward. Randy? Whenever you're ready.
Oh, good. Good word for you. Oh, okay.
Thank you, Chancellor Carpenter. I appreciate that. On behalf of all of us across the Nebraska State College system, I'd like to welcome everyone here today for this monumentous occasion at Chadron State College. We're happy that Randy and his wife, Ann, are here, and we look forward to the many great things that will come from Dr. Rhine and Chadron College and the State College in the future. Chadron State College has installed a president on 10 previous occasions. Today, we formally welcome to this distinguished company a man of outstanding qualities, one who understands and values the important role that public higher education plays in society, and one who will lead Chadron State College into the future. I now call on Randy Rhine to step forward. President Rhine, the Nebraska State College System Board of Trustees selected you as president of Chadron State College. Yours will be the great privilege and responsibility of leading Chadron State College to the fulfillment of its great promise for years to come. Now, by the virtue of the authority of the Nebraska State College Board of Trustees, I place over your shoulders the medallion of the Great Seal of the Chadron State College, the symbol of the high office which you now hold. Whoa. About lost that one. I was going to get a ladder for Randy, but I think normally they put this together.
Get this round like that. There we go.
Don't choke him, Cap.
Yeah, well, I'm not too good at this. There we go.
You got it, Cap.
A lot of pressure. On behalf of the Board of the Trustees of the Nebraska State College System, I welcome you as the 11th president of the Chadron State College. I assure you of our confidence in you, and I pledge your support to you as you strive to continue the greatness of this college's destiny. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the 11th president of Chadron State College, Dr. Randy Rhine.
Got to make a few adjustments here. Wow.
Members of the Board of Trustees, Chancellor Carpenter, distinguished guests, students, faculty, staff, alums, and friends, I am thrilled and humbled to be here today as your 11th President of Chadron State College. What an extraordinary opportunity to be here at the beginning of our second century. I cannot imagine a more exciting time to become the president of this incredible institution. Chadron State has reimagined its organization and is involved in some of the most innovative work in higher education today. And I'll speak a little bit more about that in a moment. First, I would like to take some time to thank all those who put so much effort into making the events of today possible, the Inauguration Committee. As I call your name, please stand and remain standing so that we may applaud at the end. Dr. Joyce Hardy, co-chair. Ms. Karen Pope, co-chair. I saw her back there. Step forward, Karen, so everyone can see you. Step out of the shadows. Thank you. Dr. Corrine Tandy, Dr. Margaret Krause, Ms. Danielle Hensey, Dr. Sandy Schaefer, Ms. Shelley Johns, Ms. Pam Anderson, Mr. Tracy Shuck, Mr. James Behinsky, and Ms. Tina Cook. Please join me in a round of applause for these folks who put this together. Thank you all for doing such a wonderful job. I would also like to recognize a number of people here today who have been my inspiration and helped me realize this dream. First, my daughter, Rachel, and her husband, Brandon. I'm so pleased that you could be here today. While my son cannot be here today due to his previous engagement with his Uncle Sam, hopefully he's looking in on these proceedings. As I understand, we're streaming them out there, so hopefully he'll be able to see those. And with the little magic of the internet, he'll be able to join us at dinner. My sister Sandy and her husband Johnny, it's so great to have you here today. We need to do something else to arrange meetings more often. But I'd also like to just say a word about my sister because I'm very proud of her. She was paid a great honor by her peers this year as she was selected as the Nurse of the Year in Northwest Arkansas. Sandy? My mother-in-law, Wanda Eggle, thank you, Wanda, for always being there for Ann and I. To my lovely bride, Ann, thank you for your love, patience, and support over 30 years. There are a number of longtime friends of mine here today, and I hope that you'll have a chance to meet them at the reception or at dinner. They have all provided me with significant advice at various times in my life, for which I have benefited. I would also like to express my deep appreciation for the wonderful friends Ann and I have made since arriving in Chadron. Your support, especially over the last several months, has been overwhelming. To Janie Park, my colleague of 17 years, I would not have arrived here without your support and mentorship. Thank you. Last but certainly not least, I cannot thank the Board of Trustees of the Nebraska State College system and Chancellor Carpenter enough for having the confidence in me to offer me such a wonderful opportunity. Thank you. Thank you. Over the last few months, I've gained a new appreciation for all of the presidents who came to Chadron State before me. And while they all no doubt had their challenges, it must have been a daunting prospect for our first president, Joseph Sparks. With the promise of 80 acres from the city of Chadron, a $35,000 appropriation from the legislature, and a dream, Dr. Sparks began the journey of Chadron Normal. On June 5, 1911, with the help of many strong supporters from throughout the region, the first group of faculty and 111 students, they started their first term. It was an 8-week term, by the way. I believe this monumental effort established a legacy of courage in the face of change that resides on this campus today. Chadron Normal went through a number of significant changes in the course of becoming Chadron State College of 2013, a great example of a regional comprehensive institution. While we remain close to our roots with a strong program in education, we offer students over 68 programs of study. Students come to Chadron State from almost every county in Nebraska, 35 other states, and 11 other countries. 35% of our enrollment comes from outside Nebraska, primarily from South Dakota, Wyoming, and Colorado. 50% of our students are the first in their family to attend college. You may have noticed that our campus is in the middle of an unprecedented construction phase. The Armstrong athletic facilities are receiving a major upgrade. Eagle Ridge, a new residential housing unit, will begin emerging from the prairie on the east side of campus later this spring. And the Rangeland Complex, which will serve as the home for the Rangeland Management Program, is well on its way, and you should see steel rising above the horizon line on the east side of campus very soon, perhaps today. It is an exciting time to be at Chadron State College. As we move into our second century as a college, we will need to call upon our courage to face change, as the forces of accountability, technological change, and changing expectations will test our abilities to adapt. As stewards of the public trust, we must help Chadron State respond to this environment of unprecedented change and remain relevant in transforming student lives and supporting the economic health of our region. This increase in accountability is occurring in part because nationally, the amount of student debt backed by the federal government has passed the $1 trillion amount. Some analysts are predicting student debt as the next bubble to burst with a corresponding negative impact on the economy, like the real estate market bust a few years ago. There are also a number of bad actors in the education business that are putting students into vulnerable circumstances financially by leaving them short of degrees or with degrees that do not allow them to secure jobs and pay off their loans. During President Obama's State of the Union address this past February, he stated, "Tonight, I ask Congress to change the Higher Education Act so that affordability and value are included in determining which colleges receive certain types of federal aid. And tomorrow, my administration will release a new college scorecard that parents and students can use to compare schools based on a simple criteria, where you can get the most bang for your educational buck." The administration is sending a clear message that value, affordability, and student outcomes will likely determine who has access to financial aid in the future. Chadron State has always paid attention to the issues of value, affordability, and outcomes. And I believe we are in a great position as this national discussion evolves. Our tuition rates are very competitive in the region, and our average student loan debt is between $13,000 and $14,000. Our loan default rate is 11.3% versus 13.4% nationally. If you go to the College Scorecard website referenced by President Obama and compare Chadron State with other schools based on data about the cost of attendance, student loan default rates, retention rates, and graduation rates, you will find that Chadron State scores very well on these indicators. An environment of increased accountability is also central in our discussions with our regional and specialized accrediting bodies. They expect us to operate in an environment of continuous improvement, use evidence-based decision-making models, and use data to describe the health and status of the college. I believe the work of Chadron State, I believe the work Chadron State has done over the last 3 to 4 years to reimagine and reorganize our academic and service operational structures has put us on a path to continuous improvement that will serve us well in this environment. In addition to our work to reimagine our structures, 2 projects stand out as examples of the collaboration, teamwork, and courage to change that makes Chadron State such an extraordinary college. Chadron State is one of the colleges at the forefront of the development of open education. For the last 3 years or so, Chadron State College has been participating in the Kaleidoscope Project, funded through the Bill and Melinda Gates and the Hewlett Foundations, which began as a consortium of 8 schools who agreed to develop and use open educational resources in courses that would be offered on their campuses and be available to members in the consortium. Recently, Peru and Wayne State Colleges have joined the consortium, and together the colleges of the Nebraska State College system are examining the potential for OER in the hopes of lowering the cost of education for our students. OER, or open education resources, is curriculum that exists in the public domain. Use is typically free or low cost to students. Faculty may use the material to develop courses, or in some cases, entire courses already exist and can be used in total. In exchange, there is an expectation that the professor will share any improvements to the material with the repository from which that material originated. OER has the potential to significantly reduce the cost of instruction for our students by reducing the number of textbooks needed to be purchased, and perhaps eliminate textbook costs in some programs altogether. Using OER, Chadron State initially developed a number of courses for our Transitional Studies program. No textbooks were needed by the students for these courses, and the material was available from the first day of class with no cost. Many of our students are challenged financially, and they'll defer purchasing their textbooks until later into the semester, or if at all, and sometimes they work with their fellow students to gain the material that they need. The initial data indicates that we had a 0.75 increase in the average GPA for those courses that were designed with OER. Obviously, more study is needed, but faculty members from some programs are convinced of the benefits and are moving forward aggressively to convert courses to this model. Another development at Chadron State that speaks to its courage to change and improve the value of education to learners is the revision of our general studies curriculum. Over the last 3 years, faculty members from Chadron State formed a learning community, collaborated closely on the research, discussion, and development of this effort. What emerged was a new approach called Essential Studies. The centerpiece being the creation of a series of interdisciplinary team-taught courses designed to engage students in high-impact learning experiences that challenge them to think critically, work in teams, and develop research and writing skills. I applaud our faculty for having the courage to change and arrive at such a great outcome for our students. One of our faculty members and one of our deans recently gave a presentation at the Higher Learning Commission annual meeting in Chicago on Essential Studies. During what could best be described as a packed session by representatives from other institutions, our peers, it was obvious from the volume and types of questions that other campuses were very interested in the work of our faculty. OER and Essential Studies are just two examples of the many efforts that speak to the commitment of our faculty and staff to collaborate and work to ensure that our students receive a great education at Chadron State College. Beyond the accountability, affordability, and outcome discussion, higher education faces an array of developments that make this an exciting and challenging time to be in higher education. MOOCs, or massively open online courses, adaptive learning, credit awarded on competency-based outcomes, mobile education, are all examples of changes that are having an impact on our enterprise. While I don't have time today to go into detail on all these changes, and I have been accused of, when being asked the time, to tell you how to build a watch, I won't subject you to that. I believe it is safe to say that most of us did not fully appreciate or understand the profound impact that technology, and in particular the internet, would have on the processes of education over the past 3 decades. Lastly, as we plan the way forward for the second century of Chadron State, I believe using the power of partnerships and collaborations is critical to our future. Collaboration among the various units of Chadron State, among the campuses of the Nebraska State College system, with other institutions and external entities, will allow us to leverage our resources more effectively, support innovation, and respond appropriately to change. For example, are there new or innovative ways that we can work more closely with the Chadron School District to meet the needs of their learners and staff? What about other K-12 school districts in our service area? How can we work more closely with Western Nebraska Community College, Mid-Plains Community College, the cities of Chadron, Crawford, Alliance, Scottsbluff, and Gering, to name a few, healthcare providers in our region, the agriculture industry, and business and industry? We all have a stake in the economic health of this region, and I believe that Chadron needs to be active in that discussion of our future. We hope the Rangeland Complex can serve as a forum for agricultural-related issues and as a demonstration site for sustainable range management practices. Have we realized the full potential of the Coffee Gallery and its archives in the Sandoz Center? Have we developed the full potential for internships with companies and other agencies throughout our region, nationally and internationally, for our senior level students and graduate students? In closing, to the faculty, staff, alums, and friends of Chadron State College, your support has been overwhelming. Thank you for all you do for our students and each other. I will work hard each day to earn your trust. And as all of you know, my door is always open, and I hope you will use it. With our legacy of courage in the face of change, I have no doubt we can lead our campus, your campus, Chadron State College, into its second century of service and beyond. Thank you.
Before I ask Lane Sweetberg to come up for another moment of reflection, I was remiss in not introducing Dr. Todd Holcomb, who is with us today. Todd, where are you? As the president of Western Nebraska Community College. Thank you for joining us today, Todd. And Lane, if you would.
President's inauguration. I've always dreamed about attending one of these monumental events. Thousands of people gathered to celebrate the start of a new adventure of one certain special individual. In my mind, I always imagined myself standing in the midst of a crowd in front of the Capitol, cheering on our new fearless leader. Even though we are not in Washington, D.C., in front of the Capitol building, and there are not quite thousands of people in attendance, the purpose still remains the same. Today we have gathered to celebrate our new fearless leader, Dr. Randy Rhine, as he begins a new and exciting adventure as president of Chadron State College. When trying to draw my thoughts together and figure out what to say for such an occasion, my mind kept going back to the 4th grade when we memorized the names of our nation's presidents in the order that they served our country. So I did a little research and found a list of the past presidents of Chadron State College, beginning with Joseph Sparks, who became the first president of this college June 15th of 1910. Since then, we have had 9 other extraordinary individuals, including Dr. Park, who's with us today, that have pieced this college into the educational organization that it is today. Think back to when the college consisted of just one building, the administration building. Now, open your eyes and see where we are today. This college has grown immensely these past 102 years. Now, let's remember why we are here today. Dr. Randy Rhine has grown not only with this college, but with this community. With his knowledge and experience, I know that Dr. Rhine will lead this college with confidence, wisdom, and courage. With such an honorary man as our leader, I believe we will continue to take steps forward as a college. To Dr. Rhine, thank you so much for everything that you have done for this college and for us, the students. Your contributions to this institution have been monumental, and we are excited to see the growth of these next few years to come. Thank you.
Thank you all for being here today to help with the investiture of Randy Rhine as the 11th president of Chadron State College. I just have one, maybe 2 short thoughts after Randy's speech. He talked about technology and the impact of technology, and that's all true, but I heard a great quote at a conference that I attended this week. It says this, that it's only technology if it's invented after you're born. So we can keep that in mind. The other is that there are many folks who want to judge and value and evaluate higher education in our institutions. Chadron State College and Peru State College and Wayne State Colleges are colleges of opportunity. used to be known as open enrollment institutions. And I think Robert Kibbe hit it on the head when he said, the true measure of a value of an institution is the students they put out, not the students they take in. And that's what we do. We educate those folks who really come to us and need, first-generation folks, and Randy will lead this institution to continue that tradition and make it a very fine and continued excellent college here in Western Nebraska. So thank you all for coming today. Please join us immediately following in the old administration building for a community-wide reception. Thank you all very much, and congratulations again, Randy.
Thanks.
All right, let me grab this.
And a hat here. Okay.
Thank you.